keep your head to the sky. You can win as long as you keep your head to the sky. Be optimistic. Don't give up and don't give in. Although it seems you never win, you will always pass the test as long as you keep your head to the sky. You can win as long as you keep your head to the sky. You can win as long as you keep your head to the sky. You can win, yes, as long as you keep your head to the sky. You can win, yes, as long as you keep your head to the sky. Be optimistic.
I welcome you with a heart full of gratitude to this Heartstream. Thank you for joining us here at the Open Heart Spiritual Center Heartstream this day. You are welcome and we are glad to have you here. Please join me and turn within. Spirit of the living God, fall afresh upon us all. Have your way in as and through us, and in as and through this service. We are grateful that all who come across this sacred space will feel the love of the divine, will be inspired by the divine, will be healed by the divine, and will feel their connection to this great spiritual center. We know that all that follows is blessed, blessed, and more blessed. And we are grateful for our time in this sacred space. Let us not leave here the way that we came in, but let us leave more full of the love, the light of the divine. And so it is. Welcome again, and namaste.
You're broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round, and you can't find the fighter, but I see it in you, so we go walk it out and move mountains. We gon' walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day, I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid, I'll rise up. And I'll do it 1,000 times again for you, for you, for you. And the silence isn't quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe, and I know you feel like dying, but I promise you we'll bring the world to its feet and move mountains, bring it to its feet and move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid, I'll rise up in spite of the ache, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again for you, for you, for you. All we need is hope, that we have each other, that we have each other, and we will rise always, we'll rise always, we'll rise always for you, we'll rise.
What comes from the heart reaches the heart. Good morning, Open Heart, and welcome to our Heartstream Live for this Sunday, February 22nd. What comes from the heart reaches the heart. Good morning, Open Heart, and welcome to our Heartstream Live for this Sunday, February the 27th, 2022. I'm so glad that you have joined us for today's Heartstream. As I am each and every Sunday, I'm so glad for your support and your contributions to help this go in whatever way that it might be. And I'm excited as always for this. I know that we are in a time where a lot of the attention of the country and the world is on what is happening in the Ukraine with Russia invading that country. And also there are many other concerns beyond that we all have with not only what is happening in our communities, but is also happening for us personally. There's so many ways in which the machinations of war are happening all around us and within us. And we have to continue to hold on to the understanding and the awareness and the knowing of God being in the midst of this. And while sometimes we might question that, but ultimately it is propelling us and guiding us and directing us in all that we do. I know that this month is a part of our celebration. We have noted the pioneers in religious science, the Black pioneers in religious science, in conjunction with Black History Month. And I'm really excited about the fact that March is Women's History Month. And in March, we will feature each and every Sunday a really dynamic and powerful woman in New Thought who will speak. We have our own Reverend Villa Willis. We have the Reverend Josette Jackson from Unity Christian Church in Memphis. We have the Reverend Patty Rumsa from Openheartspiritual Center in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and then our own Mrs. Emma Crystal from Open Heart. And it's an opportunity to hear them in using the theme, Women of New Thought, speaking truth from power. Because we hear so often the expression speaking truth to power. But the real understanding for me is the fact that we already have power, that we are empowered. We are the expression of God, and we are speaking truth from power to all of the things of the world and speaking truth to those in those places that need to hear it, where it needs to be understood and expressed. So I'm looking forward to that opportunity to hear them and to experience them beginning in March. And as always, I greet you, I bless you, I see God in you. Our purpose statement. Our purpose is to create a spiritual community which recognizes that there is one presence and one power in the universe, God. Daily, we actively practice this spiritual truth. We open our heart space to each person to acknowledge one another as expressions of God. It is in each other that we see God.
Our theme for the month of February. What about love? God so loves me that it continually expresses in, through, and as me. I am inspired, open, and available to the fullest experience of life. And so it is.
3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, Open Heart family. I'm so glad to be with you today. Our affirmative reading comes from my friend Ellen Bear. It's in a collection of essays called Lessons from Apple Trees, Rainy Days, and Johnny Woodchuck, and it's called Holding On and Letting Go. Most people fall into one of two groups, those who hold on too long and those who let go too soon. When I heard Zen teacher Cherie Huber express this thought, I knew immediately that I belonged to the first category. I hold on to things because I once needed them or in case I might need them again someday. My husband, on the other hand, can throw something away or give it away without a glance, either backward or forward. Our society is much better about teaching us to hold on than to let go. Consequently, for those of us who learn the lesson well, even cleaning out our closet is difficult, not to mention a child going off to college or dealing with the ultimate letting go, death. Putting old record albums into a box for the church yard sale should be so easy, but I hesitated, thinking such thoughts as, What if I get the old record player fixed and want to play these records? How can I give up Elvis and Jim Croce and Aretha? No wonder change is so hard. We get used to certain things and we don't want to let them go, even when they are no longer useful. This is why people were so upset with Galileo, who tried to make them see the world a different way. Jesus went even further, trying to change actions as well as perceptions. He said for us to love one another, care for the poor and needy, turn the other cheek, and refrain from judging others. He said it was harder for a rich man to enter the gates of heaven than for a camel to go through the eye of a needle. Probably because the rich man would have such a hard time leaving his things. Of course, it's not just about things. We can get too attached to our own habits and opinions. We can even get too attached to other people. In the latest Star Wars movie, Attack of the Clones, we meet Anakin Skywalker again. He's a pretty good fellow, young and in love, but we know that he will end up becoming the evil Darth Vader. How does this happen? Director George Lucas explained in Time magazine in April 2002, he turns into Darth Vader because he gets attached to things. He can't let go of his mother. He can't let go of his girlfriend. He can't let go of things. It makes you greedy. And when you are greedy, you are on the path to the dark side because you are afraid you're going to lose things. There's a Zen story about a young monk who goes to the monastery to study with a revered older teacher. He notices that the old man has a favorite cup, one that he chooses before the others, and whose beauty he sometimes admires. One day, the student breaks the cup by accident and feels terrible. But the old man says nothing and seems unmoved. When the young monk confesses his deed and his distress, the old monk says, "Don't be upset. I always drank from that cup as if it were already broken." What a concept. Clearly, we will eventually have to let go of everything except the love of God. So, if we can care for things and pets and other people, knowing that they are impermanent or already broken, then perhaps we can let go more easily when we have to. If we can see ourselves in that same way, then surely it will be easier when we can no longer run as fast, see as well, or look as good as we used to. Cherie Huber suggests that we identify our primary tendency to hold on too long or to let go too soon, and especially in a difficult situation, to do the other one. This guidance helped me get the courage to quit a job that I'd held on to for too long. Now, let's see if I can take that advice when the time comes to box up the Beatles for the next yard sale. So it is.
Black history is a part of history year-round. But traditionally in the month of February, we highlight the accomplishments of Black Americans and beyond. And courtesy of the Center for Spiritual Living in Dallas, we are featuring the pioneers and evolutionaries of science of mind. Hope you enjoy.
Here's a little known Black history science of mind fact. Pearl C. Wood was born in a small Arkansas town in 1892. A teacher, she became a seeker of spiritual truth. She relocated to Kansas City, where she became active in church and civic work. In 1930, she went to California. There she visited various churches but could not find the spiritual uplift she desired until one day, a voice inside her said, "The thing you're looking for is within you." She returned to Kansas City and became an ordained minister in the Metropolitan Spiritual Church of Christ. A short time later, she permanently moved to LA and founded Triangular Church of Truth in her living room in 1932. She became affectionately known as Mother Wood. The church grew, and 24 years later, in 1956, she affiliated with Religious Science. Ernest Holmes loved Mother Wood's ministry, and at one event stunned the crowd announcing, "If she's your mother, then I'm your father." When Mother Wood retired in 1972, her son-in-law, Dr. Philip Pitts, became senior minister at Triangular Center for Spiritual Living. And when he retired, her grandson, Reverend Greg Pitts, stepped into leadership. Mother, son-in-law, and grandson, 3 generations of strong spiritual leadership. Dr. Pearl C. Wood, a Black evolutionary in science of mind.
Good morning. These are your announcements.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Just have a happy day. Today is a day like no other day. Just think and you'll know that it's true. Days like today should be holidays. So I'm singing this message to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Just have a happy day.
The month of March is Women's History Month, and Open Heart is celebrating it by presenting Women in New Thought, Speaking Truth from Power. Each Sunday, we feature a different woman from New Thought as our speaker. The Reverend Villa Willis from Openheartspiritual Center, the Reverend Josette Jackson from Unity Christian Church in Memphis, the Reverend Patty Rumsa, Golden Heart Spiritual Center, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and Mrs. Emma Crystal, Open Heart Spiritual Center, Memphis. We look forward to this powerful month of speakers, women in New Thought, speaking truth from power. And speaking of Women's History Month, the Queendom Women's Conference Masterpiece takes place March 17th through the 19th. It's a virtual conference, and yes, if you look at the lineup, you see all of these fantastic women that will be speakers and facilitators, and then there's me. I was asked by the founder, Carla Nix, to be a part of this, to talk about communication, and I will be speaking on the 19th, that Saturday at 12 noon, and I'll have information about how you can become a part of the conference. It's all free, and I'm honored to be a part of this, and thankful to Carla for asking me. The exhibition continues at the Dixon Gallery and Gardens, Connecting with Nature by our own Matthew Lee. Coming up next is a workshop on Saturday, March the 19th from 10:30 to 1:30. And there's information you can see about how to register and to be a part of this workshop by the very talented Matthew. A reminder to those who are participating in our course, Transform Your Life, that we will meet this Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Hope to see you there. There's an exciting opportunity in August, the Celebrating Our Soul, People of African Descent New Thought Conference that will take place at Unity Village in Kansas City, Missouri. And early bird registration is ending soon on March the 15th. It's a $345 fee, and it goes up after that. So if you are interested in going, you can simply go to padnt.org to find out more information and to register. At Open Heart, we believe in the power of affirmative prayer. Daily, we hold the space for and see the healing, the wholeness, the connection, the strength and encouragement, inspiration, and everything else that is needed by all of these people that you see here on our prayer list and beyond. We know that prayer truly is the way for these things to manifest and come forward in each other's lives. We make it welcome, knowing that it's already done in the mind of God. I'm always grateful to those who provide an affirmative reading. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And this is your opportunity to submit a video to Jay Gilmore at Openheartspiritual.org. Our daily affirmative prayer call takes place each and every morning at 8 a.m. Central Time. Dial in as one of our prayer team members shares an inspirational reading and then prays for you, all in about 7 minutes. As always, we're thankful for your gifts. There are 3 ways to give: through our Cash App, to give online at our website, or text the word GIVE to 615-422-4292. Infinite prosperity is mine to share. I am blessed, and we hope that you will continue to share in your prosperity with Open Heart. Am I strong enough to bear the burdens that sometimes comes living this thing called life? Am I wise enough to make the right decisions when I'm standing at the fork of the road? Sometimes I wonder and ponder, only to realize I'm not alone and there's nothing I have to do on my own, because
I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up.
will I have enough to do the things I need to do to take care of myself? Will I have the help of mind and body to live the life of grace and wholeness? Sometimes I wonder and ponder, only to realize I'm not alone and there's nothing I have to do on my own, because
I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up.
I am the
I am
place.
the place where God
You
lives,
are the
moves
place.
and breathes and has
We
its
are the
being.
place
I am the place
where God shows up. I am the
I
place.
am the place where God
You
lives,
are the
moves and
place.
breathes and has
We
its
are the
being.
place
I am the place
where God shows up.
I am the place where God lives, moves
T-shirt. It says I'm the place. I bought it from his website. It says I'm the place where God.
Please join me in a few seconds of silence as we center in this sacred space. I'll begin our time of silence with the gong from my little singing bowl, and we'll end that time. So let us breathe in and out. Know that in this centering moment, all is well, and our hearts are open and ready for the message. And so it is.
What about love? In Open Heart's beginning, we had a logo that was a heart that had a triangle or a pyramid in the center of it. And for me, as I put that logo together, it reflected the relationship that the master teacher Jesus pointed out to when he was asked what the greatest commandment was. And he talked about loving God, loving your neighbor, while loving yourself. And while that logo is gone, because people told me, well, John, that's kind of outdated now, but the appearance of it, what remains important to me is teaching people how important the self aspect is. We hear a lot about loving God. We in churches for so long have focused on worshiping God, whether it's God itself or worshiping God through Jesus. And we also hear about our neighbor, but we're taught at the same time that self is the least important part. There was a woman that I knew that I always found her way of speaking to be a little bit strange, but I couldn't put my finger on it until one day it came to me that whenever she talked, she went out of her way to not use the word I. That in everything that she said, whenever there was a reference to herself, there was never the word I. If you would say, lovely to see everyone, lovely to see you, want you to do this, but never using the word I. And then it all came together when I heard her teaching in a church setting, and she was talking about the fact that the least important word is I. And she got a lot of amens and speak on it, and that's right and everything else. But I beg to differ. If I is the least important word, if we don't love ourselves, then the whole dynamic of loving God and loving our neighbor falls short. It means that we fail to properly acknowledge the force that animates itself, that animates our neighbor, and that animates us. I heard a bishop in the denomination that I grew up in, the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church, which is still an important part of me, Bishop Joseph C. Coles, preach a sermon where he started out with the premise that if the cell is the most important component of life, is there a basic component of love? And my answer to that is self. That self is the most basic component to love. That love starts with me. Love starts with me. Love starts with you. It's with self. And I'm not talking about it in a narcissistic way. We have so much of that, people who love themselves in a way that denies everything and everyone else, and that they run over people and don't care about anyone else but themselves and all of that. But I'm not talking about loving the self in that way. I'm talking about loving ourselves in such a way that is the most important priority, and it's out of that that we can really be about love and practice loving and show loving and be the example of loving. Another bishop, Bishop John Shelby Spong, an Episcopal bishop in this sense, says that personhood is the deepest experience of our lives as human beings, and we cannot escape its boundaries. And for me, if that sense of personhood, which ultimately is about our own divinity, is not understood and expressed, we fall short. And yes, you heard me right. I said our own divinity, because for some people, it's blasphemy to claim our own divinity. It's blasphemy to say that we are divine beings. But in our teaching, we understand that we are expressions of God, that we are expression of God, that God is all there is, and everything that we see, everything that we experience, everything that exists is an expression of God. So we are divine because we are that expression of God that is unique and individualized in every way. And I will forever continue to teach that. Meister Eckhart says that every creature is a word of God. It is a book about God. Let that sink in for a moment, that every creature is a word of God and is a book about God. Alan Cohen, in his book, I Had It All the Time, writes about driving one day and scanning his car radio, and he stopped on a station where he heard a deep booming voice proclaim, "You are divine. You are a blessing to the world. You are a source of good to everyone you touch. Your essence is love. Your being is eternal. Within you, greatness resides." And he says he felt excited. He turned the radio up and exclaimed that somebody was telling the truth about him, the truth about who we are, that he was ecstatic that this was being broadcast to the city. He felt uplifted as he heard these affirming words. But then he was quickly deflated when the voice continued, "Yes, O God, you are all and we are nothing. You are perfect and we are vile refuse beneath your holy feet. You are divine and we are contemptible. Save us from our wretchedness." Cohen says that the contrast was stark, that here he was rejoicing in the affirmation of his divinity, and that the speaker had divorced himself from his own. That I think it is important for us to see and to understand that love is embracing our divinity and not divorcing ourselves from it. And oftentimes, though, this embrace becomes difficult when we accept the notions that we are nothing, that we are vile refuse, contemptible, wretched. That this is something that so often we have been taught, and it's been ingrained and drilled into us, and all of that in the ways in which we are to be and to understand and to see ourselves as we relate to God and to neighbor and to the world. Dr. Frederick Bales, a renowned religious science teacher, told the story of how masterpieces of art were sometimes struggled out of Europe despite the governments wishing to keep them. What would happen is that a low-skilled artist would dab a mediocre painting over a masterpiece, and then the painting would be presented for export. And then once it made it out of the country, it was placed into the hands of a skilled expert who knew how to restore the original oil, the original painting, the original masterpiece by daubing it with oils. And with infinite care, the daub was gently rubbed away until the masterpiece came forth once more in all of its original beauty. And for us, we must know that beneath the surface of that daub, we must know that beneath the surface of that mediocre appearance, that mediocre kind of way of seeing ourselves, the mediocrity of illness and poverty, misery, or even sin, lies the original masterpiece, the perfect pattern. We don't create the masterpiece, but we restore it. Our understanding of us as the expression of God, the expression of all that is, that our divinity is there. We have to restore it. We have to uncover it. We have to embrace it. We have to know that what lies beneath all that we see and all that is happening, that beneath that is the masterpiece. Beneath the surface is that divine appearance of who we are. And I'm here to tell you that it is who you are. That some of us refuse to daub off the paint. We walk around in a mediocre kind of way. We walk around appearing to ourselves and to others in a mediocre fashion. And as someone once said, we see ourselves, the way that we see ourselves comes about how we see the world and how the world sees us. Because as I heard my wife say just the other day, and she says it all the time, is that we treat other people we teach other people how to treat us. And when we get caught up in the fact of doubting ourselves, then what happens is that we walk around as those masterpieces that have not been uncovered, that have not found or revealed the true essence of who it is. That when we stay stuck in that feeling, then we truly are lost. I purposely for this month's daily affirmation, did a play on John 3:16, where we know so famously, God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever shall believe in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. But what I wanted to say by and with this affirmation is the fact that God so loves me, that it continually expresses in, through, and as me. I am inspired, open, and available to the fullest expression of life. That is not about something that happened in the past. That is not about something that talks about my unworthiness and that I needed something outside of me to save me. And I needed something that had to take me out of all of the refuse and the contemptible expression or state of my being. But that I am that expression of God, and that God so loves me that it continually expresses itself in, through, and as me, without qualification, without any other requirement, without anything else. That in short, basically, that every day is evidence of God not giving up on me. That every day, because I wake up and the blood is running warm in my veins and breath is in my body, and that I am able to greet the brand new day full of promise, potential, possibility, and opportunity, that's evidence that God is not giving up on me. That when I begin to understand that and let it sink deep within me, that I understand that God is not giving up on me and never will, because God cannot give up on itself. When I get that realization, when I get that understanding, when I look at all of what is happening, and sometimes my mind wants to go in another direction or in another place, but I understand that God does not give up on me, and God does not give up on you, and that you have that opportunity. What does it mean? Every day is full of promise, potential, possibility, and opportunity. What you might have left undone on yesterday, you have another chance. What you might feel like that you made a mistake in, there is another opportunity to do the right thing. That if you feel like that somehow you've fallen short, there is a chance to recognize that by standing in your boldness, by standing as tall as you are, because the full expression of God is in you, that God never gives up on you. What about love? Love is that expression of us that understands completely who we are, that understands our divinity. It understands us in the way that we truly and ultimately are. And we show up in that way in the world. And when we show up in that way in the world, so many things can happen. It determines how we treat other people. It determines how we understand other people. It helps us to understand that while there is the machinery of war happening around us in this moment, and so many things that are happening not only over in the Ukraine with Russia and everything else, and we can look at other parts of the world and even our own communities where things are happening and where the attempts to deny our divinity, attempts to deny just the very expression of who we are, that as we continue to see those things, if we get the basic understanding of who we are and operate from that understanding, we can be a part of being world changers, of being consciousness raisers, of being uplifters, of making transformation possible. Remember that God never gives up on you.
There was a time in my life, thought I had to do it all for myself. Didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the love of God was at hand. You are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day. Gotta let it go. Gotta let it all go. Are you listening? You got to let it all go. And this is what you have to say. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Oh, I release. And I let go. Let the spirit run my life. And my yes, I'm only here for God. I know.
For being so real and touching me, letting me see what a beautiful world this world is, and I thank you for all that's revealed. Well, you're changing me and opening my time, blinded eyes to see my glorious part.